Welcome back to part two of this little back and forth I'm doing with Sara Gonzales. In case you missed part one, which was amazing, you have to go watch Sara's channel for that one. Go subscribe to her channel at youtube.com/@SaraGonzales. That's where you go watch part one. For part two, I'm going to answer the question she finished off with in the last one. She was asking me about the polling between Harris and Trump and what I believe about the race. And so, sorry, Sara, allow me to filibuster for a moment. Just, I don't know, do your makeup or something. Just give me a second. Let me explain this. So I do the same thing. I'm of the same mind you are when you ask about the polling and the election. I try to be as objective as I can be. Obviously, I'm emotional about it. I want Trump to win. I don't want Harris to win. But I don't understand how she could win. But that in and of itself makes me nervous because when I say I don't understand how she could win, we're going to set aside the fraud and cheating stuff, which I do believe. So let's set that aside because there's no way we can account for that. Set that aside. There's no need discussing it. No need to account for it. She's such a moron. I understand Donald Trump is personally not popular, but his policies were. And you see that in all the polls. They trust him more on virtually everything, the economy, the border. His policies are more popular than her. Joe Biden, people are unhappy with it. They will attach her to it. She's unpopular, and she's such a terrible retail politician because she has no personality whatsoever. Her entire life has been political and ambition, and therefore she doesn't even have a belief system. Everyone can see that now. That's why she does the nervous laughing and the changing of the accents. She's a disaster. So everything I look at, and the polling, I should note, backs this up, that I think Donald Trump wins in November. And I do believe it. I am hopeful. I think Donald Trump is going to win in November. And I think there's a chance he wins fairly solidly. It's not going to be some 49-state Ronald Reagan thing. Those days are gone. But I think he wins fairly solidly. However, and you know what they say, everything before the but doesn't count, or before the however. So here it is. It's not an accident that they opened up the border. They did that on purpose. The day one they got into office, they opened up the border. Day one. They took all Donald Trump's executive orders and just day one, they just immediately, every single one of them. And then after opening up the border on purpose, they then have spent billions of dollars flying and busing foreigners into this country and parking them everywhere they possibly can. So it wasn't just like, oh, the border's open. I guess if someone comes in, it's fine. No, they threw open the border. They told everyone they threw open the border, and then they went and grabbed as many people as they could and flew them here. They've also naturalized more citizens in the last 3 years in critical swing states like Arizona than anyone has before. What was the spread in Arizona last time? 11,000? I think it was 11,000, maybe 15,000, but it was small. We're 70,000 plus new citizens in Arizona. That's just during the Biden-Harris thing. So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is a large portion, you're going to have to decide what you think large means, of the American population. They're so dumb they could be rats at this point in time. And that's because our culture has been purposely poisoned by the communists to educate America's kids, not in the greatness of the country or civics or economics, but in why they're terrible for being white and why America sucks. But we have a dumbed down population, dumbed down and demoralized, and they did it on purpose. It's not that the people themselves are bad, but they've done that. And if you do that long enough, if you generation after generation after generation, you dumb them down and dumb them down and dumb them down, and America sucks over and over and over again. And then you're flying in millions and millions and millions of people, and you're handing them citizenship as fast as you freaking can. At some point, tipping point is another overused term, but at some point, it's not going to matter who you run, and it's not going to matter who they run. At some point, if you do that for long enough, you could resurrect George Washington today on the best platform in history and run George Washington against a reincarnated Joseph Stalin, and the American people will go to the polls and wholeheartedly vote for Joseph Stalin over George Washington if you have changed the American people enough. And we are rapidly going that way. Are we already there? I don't know. I wish I could tell you that. I think we'll find out in November if, after everything we're seeing now, if the American people go out and they want Kamala Harris over Donald Trump, there's your answer. We're already there. And look, to make this even darker, I don't mean to get too dark here, to make this even darker, even if Donald Trump gets elected, we're still on that same path. There won't be a mass amnesty. That's a pipe dream. People are lying to themselves about that. There won't be mass amnesty. How quickly can we change the education system? How quickly can we fix that? How quickly can we fix our culture? Because even if Donald Trump gets elected, if the culture's going this way, wait, what direction is that on the screen? I'm pointing left on mine. If the culture's going this way, the election of Donald Trump doesn't stop the culture from going this way. It may help slow it a little, but it's still going this way. As long as it keeps going this way, we are approaching a tipping point. Once we get to that tipping point, that's it. It's over.
Well, that's very optimistic of you, Jesse. Thanks. I'm going to go jump off the nearest bridge. I mean, listen, you're right, though, especially about, we talk all the time about, I literally was just talking about this yesterday, all of the mass amounts of criminals, convicted criminals that have come into the country that they have numbers on. And I'm saying it's not an accident, guys. It's not a great replacement theory. It's just happening. You can stop saying the word theory. It is the great replacement. We are living it. I know the left wants to say that you are a right-wing conspiracy theorist, that you're a crazy nut job, put on your tinfoil hat, because that's a far-right conspiracy theory. It's just literally happening. And while it's happening, you have all of these people in the Biden regime that are so treasonous that not only do they do this intentionally, but they do things like sue the Department of Justice, suing the state of Alabama for daring to remove non-citizens from their voter rolls. That's how deep the rot gets. That's how evil they are. They know what they're doing. They're doing it intentionally. And then if you dare point it out, or if you dare try to protect your own state from what they're doing, freaking sue you. Like, I can't think of anything more evil than these people from within trying to destroy our public and calling you the crazy one. It's just so maddening to watch happen. And you're right, Jesse. I mean, will Donald Trump solve things immediately? No. I'm going to put a little bit more of a positive spin on what you're saying, is if we can just get it to slow down. I mean, it feels like we're drinking from a fire hose right now, right? It's just, it's constantly, it's barrage of like incoming evil and rot in our culture. And if we could just get some sort of like a plug in that, we have a little bit more time to fix it. And that's what I like to tell people, is just like, is he going to fix it on day one? No. In fact, is he going to solve the problems in 4 years? Absolutely not, which is why we need someone like a JD Vance to carry the torch into the next 4 years. But if we could just get a little bit of a plug on that, and we can just like try to stop the bleeding, and then figure out, okay, what is our strategy to stop all of this and to turn culture the other way, I think we do have a real shot at doing that when Donald Trump becomes president, right?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with anything you just said there. It's important to elect him. It's important to slow down the bleeding, even if it won't stop. And there are great things happening on the ground at the local level. I am equal parts black-pilled and hopeful. And then let me explain what I mean about that. When it comes to black-pilled, it goes way beyond the Biden-Harris administration. The communist courtesy, again, of Barack Obama, he did this so well. He was so good at destroying this country. That's why I hate him. But they filled up the government, the bureaucracy, with America-hating communists. It wasn't just a standard, well, he was my Democrat donor friend. Obama didn't have time for a lot of that. Barack Obama sought out the most hateful anti-American communists, and he filled up the military with them. He filled up the FBI with them, the NSA, the CIA, the IRS, you name it. He filled up the entire federal government with people who hate it. So even if you remove the White House, remove the people in the White House at the ballot box and put in Donald Trump, you still have a nation very much governed by the bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy hates the freaking country. You brought up the DOJ. This goes way deeper than them, but that's obviously maybe the most frightening part. The Department of Justice arrested pro-lifers. Why? In response to Roe versus Wade overturning. The Supreme Court overturned an abortion law, and I don't give a crap what you think about that, and in I guess you could call it a hissy fit, the DOJ dug up an obscure law, I think it was from the 70s, it was a long time ago, dug up an obscure law from the 70s so they could go place pro-lifers under arrest. You think you live in a free country, that country is gone. It's just a matter of the people waking up and realizing that. That's Soviet Union, East Germany crap, and it's not happening in the future, or it might happen. It's happening right now. That is the country you already live in. Now, that's the black pill part. The hopeful part is this. We have such an incredible state system in this country where the individual states have so much sovereignty, and they have more than they actually think they have. They have so much economic power. They have infrastructure in place. If we can seize control of the local and state areas, we can have still a wonderful future for ourselves and our kids and our grandkids, and people are doing that. I have more people emailing my show of, Jesse, I got on school board because I heard I needed to run. I'm on city council. Jesse, I'm running for state house. People are beginning to do exactly what they should do to preserve their way of life, and that is fortifying their community and their state, and that is happening, and there's a lot of that happening. I have zero faith that we are going to put together the 50-state union again. I just don't. Hopefully I'm wrong. I pray to God I'm wrong about that. But there are huge portions of this country that can have wonderful, long, prosperous lives if we dig in and fight back now. That's what I believe. So, like I said, black-pilled and hopeful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, you would think that there would be a point if we did do that and we just kind of, I say segregated as in the red states live their way of life and the blue states live their way of life. And you can get they can be trans kid sanctuaries, they can be abortion sanctuaries, they can be a sanctuary city for illegals, they can have the state that they so choose. But it does seem like, as I'm playing this out in my head, I'm like, they're probably going to get to a point where they do eventually still try to come to us because we're going to be the ones prospering and they're going to be the ones with, blackouts, brownouts because of all of the electric grid and the failures of all our electric vehicles and all of this. And so you do wonder, as I play that out of my head, I'm like, I feel like we're just going to have to keep doing this over and over again until they learn their lesson that their policies are terrible and that communism doesn't work. And it's not just that you just haven't tried it the right way. Seems to be where I. But again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it feels like every maybe 20 years after we decide that that's the way we want to live, we're going to have to fend them off every once in a while. We're going to think that they can move. We both live in Texas, right? They're going to think that they can move here and then just still keep voting for and championing the policies got them into where they were. I keep refraining from cursing, and I'm forgetting that we're on YouTube, and I probably could. That they've turned their cities and their states into shitholes, and then they're like, "Hey, why don't we move to Texas and vote for the same policies?"
I get what you're saying, and you're not at all wrong about it, but there's something I've grown to accept when it comes to all this is that we have to fall in love with the struggle because final victory is not something I will ever see. It's not something you will ever see. Your kid is never going to see it. My kids are never going to see it because this is an ongoing struggle of good versus evil. We're never going to get to a place, an election, a cultural win, a year, an event where the communist says, okay, gosh, I give up. I have had enough. I'm done. You guys win it. That day will never, ever, ever come. And if you're hoping for that day, you are putting your hope in something that is not real. The communist is demonic. He is never going to stop trying to destroy everything you love and care about. So you, me, all of us, we have to fall in love with the fight. We have to fall in love with the fight. And we don't want to do that because who likes to fight? Fighting is miserable. You get your knuckles bruised up. You lose a tooth or two. No one enjoys fighting. But we have to learn to fall in love with battle and the struggle and that fight for your local school board. And we have to learn to fall in love with that. And that's part of our challenge is to explain to normal people that being a normal person, a good citizen, I pay my taxes, I go to church on Sunday, that's not enough anymore. It's not enough. It's not enough to just live your life as an American. It's time to put on the gloves and get in the ring.
Yeah, no, that's really well said. So as we're talking about this and we're talking about the election and we're talking about what's happening over in Israel, and we're talking about the hurricane and the devastation and all of these homes that are going to need to be rebuilt. I'm curious what your thoughts are. I know this is we're on your channel. I don't know why I'm asking you the questions, but it's just a thing that I do. I'm curious your thoughts on the dock workers strike and where you fall on that, because I have some mixed feelings.
Well, I'm glad you have mixed feelings, because what's happening right now, and a lot of this is the fault of the head of the dock workers union, the longshoreman union, that Daggett guy. But a lot of people right now are oversimplifying this entire thing. I did a real deep nerd out dive on this thing yesterday. And the truth is that they're a million miles apart, the two sides. And having dug into it and talked to a lot of people who are experts on it, I wouldn't say there is a side who are the good guys or the bad guys. The dock workers on the East Coast are paid $35,000 a year less than the dock workers on the West Coast. Now, I don't care what you factor in, that's going to always become a problem. There are shipping companies who do it right, shipping companies who do it wrong. This is not a simple issue. And if you found yourself making simplistic statements today, like they want a 77% raise, kill them all, I would argue you should probably just dig into it a little bit more. I'm not on anybody's side here, nobody's side. I am gravely concerned about the American people. You brought up the victims of Helene, I keep calling it Helene, whatever. You brought up the victims in North Carolina, Tennessee. These are people who, if they're lucky enough to get through this, they're going to have to rebuild, and those rebuild costs are going up now by the minute, not by the hour, by the minute. The costs are shooting through the roof. I'm worried about what this is going to do to the American people. Now, as far as people taking sides, again, that Daggett guy, the head of the Longshoremen Union, I'm sure everyone's seen video by now. He's, of course, doing what, you know what, I made this comparison. I used to be a big pro sports fan. I never watched it. I don't watch it anymore, but every time there was ever a strike, whether it was baseball, football, there was always a strike. The players union would have a strike, and here's how it would go every single time. The millionaire players are striking against the billionaire owners because they want something better. Okay. The billionaire owners, maybe this is because they had better consultants, more education, the billionaire owners would play it quiet and cool. It'd be hard negotiations in private, behind closed doors, because they understood nobody in the public wants to hear a billionaire owner crying about paying a player more money. Nobody wants to hear that. Normal people don't want to hear that at all. But it was always the players, every single time. It would be players multiple. They couldn't control themselves. I don't know whether they had worse consultants or whatever. They would run to the camera and scream about how they were underpaid and mistreated. And then the next thing you'd see would be a graphic on the screen showing that guy makes $20 million a year. And immediately the public turned against the players almost every single time because the players could not control their mouths. Union guy did it today. I don't even have a side on the issue. I don't care. I just want it to be resolved. Union guy is out there making threats. We will crush this country. We'll crush the economy. Well, that's pretty brilliant, buddy. Those comments are going to play really well in about a month when the cost to rebuild your home outside of Nashville, North Carolina is quadruple what it used to be, and they're playing those comments on a loop. That's really going to endear you to the American public. Really well thought out. Well done.
Yeah. Well, especially with automation, the way that it is, and you see
Yeah, of
how
course.
China handles all of their ports. It's like look. It's the same thing with the minimum wage, right? They're like, oh, we flip burgers for a living at McDonald's, which again, I'm not disrespecting. Like, I appreciate anyone who engages in honest work, but it's like, okay, but you have to know your value, and if your value is at such a point where you can just be replaced with automation, maybe don't overestimate that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about this whole strike. Their complaint is about the pay and about automation. Now, the pay, that'll get resolved. They'll come to an agreement on that. You can't fight technology. It's like swimming against the ocean. You're not going to win. It's not possible. Even if they get a short-term win, their jobs will be automated. It's just, look, it's, the old saying is true. Actually, I think it's my saying, so I'm going to take credit for this one. You are paid based on the scarcity of your marketable skills. You're not paid on your talent. You're not paid on your hard work. How many people can do what you do? If that answer is a lot, then you're not going to get paid very much. And is it a marketable skill? If not many people can do what you do and it's marketable, you're going to get paid a lot. That's why NFL quarterbacks make $30 million a year, because not many people can do that. But look, all this is probably going to be for naught anyway, Sarah, because probably right about now, as we're speaking, Israel's sending a nuke to Tehran, and we're all going to have World War III. All right, she is Sara Gonzales. Go subscribe to her channel, youtube.com/Sara Gonzales. Appreciate you all joining us. We will do it again, Sarah. You're the best.
Thank you. You too. See you soon.